Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is June 27, 2023, and it's reported that Qatar are willing to invest 100 million euros into FC Barcelona. Also, it's reported that the Saudis are currently preparing an offer for Frank Kessie. And finally, there is some trouble brewing between Barcelona and the Moroccan winger Abde. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, just a quick reminder to make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way in helping this small and humble channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, such as this t-shirt that I'm currently wearing, make sure you hit the kickback. The link is down below in the description. And now we begin with the news that today the reporter Shay Lugasi dropped a huge bombshell on Twitter, announcing that Qatar had offered Barcelona a 100 million euro investment and that Barcelona were seriously considering this offer. Now, for those of you who don't know who Shay Lugasi is, he's the head of Barca Times media outlet. He's very close to the club and he has a lot of good information from the Middle Eastern market. And today he dropped that bombshell saying that Qatar Holdings LLC have offered Barcelona a 100 million euro investment and that Barcelona were seriously considering it, because 100 million euros would go a long way in helping Barcelona recover from their financial woes. Now, Qatar Holdings LLC are a wealth investment fund based, of course, in Qatar. They're in charge of investing Qatar's money both domestically and internationally. And in fact, they have investments all throughout the world in Europe, Asia, and the United States of America. And it seems that now they're interested in investing in Barcelona. And of course, this 100 million euros will be paid over several years. Now, we don't know the exact details of this investment offer, but one thing is for sure is that this would not be Qatar Holdings LLC buying a portion of Barcelona, because Barcelona is not for sale and it's owned by the Barcelona members. Now, this would not be the first time that Barcelona have worked with the Qataris in some kind of sponsorship deal. As you might recall, under the presidencies of Sandro Rosell and Josep Maria Bartomeu, one of the main sponsors of FC Barcelona was the Qatar Foundation. But over the years, that relationship began to deteriorate as the club members were not too happy with that sponsorship deal. And finally, the relationship completely broke off when PSG, who are owned by by the Qataris, ended up snatching Neymar away in that infamous deal where they paid 226 million euros to take the Brazilian away. Now, on to the news that it's reported today that Marcelo Brozovic will not be accepting the Saudis' offer to join the Saudi club league Al Nassr. Now, as I've been talking about these past few days, Marcelo Brozovic was set to join Al Nassr after the Saudi club offered Inter Milan around 25 million euros for the signing of the Croatian midfielder. And it's also reported that they made him a very lucrative offer for a salary around 20 to 30 million euros per season. And it all seemed that Brozovic was gonna join the Saudi side. Barcelona called the player and informed them that they're interested in signing him as a replacement for Sergio Busquets. Now, the Italian media over the weekend reported that Inter Milan had accepted the offer from the Saudis, and it was all up to the player's decision on whether he wanted to join the Saudi club or not. And even though the Italian media were reporting that Brozovic will for sure accept the Saudis' offer, today the news came out that Marcelo Brozovic will not be accepting Al Nassr's offer. But of course, this doesn't mean that he won't accept it eventually. It just means that the current terms are not acceptable to the player. And if the Saudis do want to sign him, they will have to up their offer. Now, this, of course, gives a lot of hope to Barcelona, who are hoping to sign Marcelo Brozovic as a replacement for Sergio Busquets. But of course, the player will have to wait for Barcelona because the club first needs to offload players in order to make his signing. So we're going to have to see whether Marcelo Brozovic will end up waiting for Barcelona or whether he'll finally accept that Saudi offer, assuming that a higher one comes through. Now, if Barcelona cannot sign Marcelo Brozovic, they do have other options. And it's reported that the option of Oriol Romeo is gaining more ground. and he's becoming the favorite option B for Barcelona. Now again, just like I just said, Oriol Romeo would be an option B, it would not be Barcelona's main option. So if the club cannot sign Marcelo Brozovic, then they'll try to sign Oriol Romeo, which in my opinion is good news because there were reports saying that Barcelona were also considering Dani Parejo. And in my opinion, I think that Oriol Romeo would be a much better option than Dani Parejo, who is almost 35 years old. Now, Oriol Romeo came up through the Barcelona Academy, so he's very familiar with the Barcelona style of play. He also currently plays for Girona, where they play very similarly to Barcelona as well. And even though he has a 10 million euro release clause, Barcelona think that they can negotiate that down to 3 million euros because it's reported that Girona don't want to fight the player leaving the club, because at the end of the day, when he joined Girona, he agreed to reduce his salary drastically to join the Catalan outfit. So it's reported that they wouldn't try to fight him leaving. And it's also reported that Oriol Romeo would be in favor of leaving to Barcelona because, of course, that has always been his home. Now, it seems that one of the things that Oriol Romeo would like from Barcelona is to try to seal his future as soon as possible, because he doesn't want to leave Girona hanging and he wants to give him as much time as possible to try to find a replacement for him, because after all, he's a very important player for the Catalan club. Now, as I've said many times before, in order for Barcelona to make signings, they need to offload players to make space on their wage bill. So it's now the turn to talk about the possible exits out of Barcelona. It's starting with Frank Kessie, who's reported that the Saudis have turned their eyes on him and they're currently preparing an offer for the Ivorian midfielder. Now, Barcelona have decided that they will be offloading Frank Kessie during this summer transfer market because, again, they need to offload players to create space on their wage bill. And since Frank Kessie arrived as a free agent, and since there's plenty of interest in him in Serie A and some interest in the Premier League, any money that Barcelona can get for him would be 100% profit, and Barcelona estimated they could offload the player for around 30 to 35 million euros. Well, it's now reported that the Saudis have turned their eye on Frank Kessie and could be preparing an offer to sign the Ivorian midfielder. And if this does happen, this will be very favorable for Barcelona, because given how much money the Saudis are paying for other players, this could be a very lucrative deal for the club, who are in dire need of getting as much money as possible in order to improve their financial situation. Now, Frank Kessie, through his agent, has said multiple times to media outlets that he doesn't want to leave the club and he wants to remain in Barcelona. But of course, he will have to consider that he had very little playing time during this past season. And now that Xavi Hernandez does not count on him, it will mean he'll have even less playing time next season. And of course, we're also going to have to see whether a highly lucrative offer from Saudi Arabia will end up dissuading the Ivorian midfielder. Now, speaking of players leaving the club, it's reported that Barcelona think that Samuel Umtiti could be one of the first exits out of Barcelona, given that Lyon are very determined on signing the French defender, and Umtiti is also keen to joining his former club in the Ligue 1. Now, the only problem with Samuel Umtiti transferring to Lyon is his high salary, his incredibly high salary that was given to him by Josep Maria Bartomeu, because if you want to expect a transfer fee from another club, then a player needs to reduce their salary. And in the case of Samuel Umtiti, he's not willing to reduce his salary to join Lyon. So that will be a problem in regards to Barcelona receiving a transfer fee. Now, in order to explain this a bit more, clubs usually have a budget in order to sign a player. So let's say a club has a 10 million euro budget. And if the player they're signing, his salary is 9 million euros, then they're only going to have 1 million euro left to pay a transfer fee. Versus if the player reduces his salary to, let's say, 6 million euros, then he would have 4 million euros to pay a transfer fee. So this is where Samuel Umtiti could help Barcelona by accepting a lower salary upon his move to Lyon, which would allow the French club to pay Barcelona a transfer fee. But of course, the French defender so far is not willing to make that reduction happen. Now, of course, the summer is long, and Barcelona think that they can reach an agreement eventually with the player and with Lyon. However, Barcelona are considering some drastic measure in case they cannot offload the player on time. And Barcelona are considering giving him the letter of freedom, which would allow Samuel Umtiti to join any club he pleases. But in exchange, Samuel Umtiti would have to forgive the remaining 3 seasons on his contract. So we're gonna have to see whether the French defender would be willing to do that. But again, this would be a drastic measure in case Barcelona cannot reach an agreement to offload the player. Now on to the news that there's trouble currently brewing between Barcelona and the Moroccan left winger Abde. Now Abde is currently playing the under-23 African Cup with Morocco, and it's reported that the player did not get the green light from Barcelona to join that tournament, and Barcelona have now asked the player not to play any matches because he does risk injury, and that would affect Barcelona's plans whether to either offload him somewhere else or even have him play in a preseason to see whether he has a spot on the first team. And it seems that the player so far is not listening to the club, and he has decided to play with the Moroccan national team despite not having the green light to begin with to join the Moroccan camp. Now we will end today's video with two brief updates, and that's that Barcelona have given us an update about two of the players that will be exiting during the summer transfer market. The first player being the Barcelona basketball player Mirotic, who was the highest earning basketball player in all of Europe, and who Barcelona and the player agreed to terminate his contract as part of that Barcelona's plan to reduce their budget all across the board. Now it seems after that Barcelona thought they would have kind of a happy goodbye or a happy farewell with Mirotic, the player has now informed the club through his attorney that he wants the remaining 2 seasons' salary paid up to him in cash, or that he could consider legal actions against the club. Now the second update is that Barcelona have clarified what has happened with Arnau Tenas. As I reported in yesterday's live stream, the player has decided to leave the club after Barcelona did not renew his contract, which expires on June 30th, so in a few days. And the club have now clarified that the reason why they didn't renew the contract of Arnau Tenas is because there was a clause in his contract that would allow Barcelona to extend it by 1 more season automatically. However, his salary would triple, and Barcelona, of course, could not afford that increase or that dramatic increase in salary. So they tried to offer Arnau Tenas a contract renewal with a lower salary, but it seems that the player and his agent refused. So that is why Barcelona did not end up renewing the contract of what was thought would be the future goalkeeper of Barcelona. And now Arnau Tenas, a La Masia product, will be leaving the club in a few days. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I would like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.